I hereby call the Brockton School Committee to order. We are at the George M. Romm Little Theater here at Brockton High School, 470 Forest Ave, Brockton, Mass. 02301. It is Tuesday, April 23rd at 7 o'clock. I need to read into the record the following. Dear visitors, welcome to the meeting of the Brockton School Committee. This is the agenda that will be discussed this evening. Please note the hearing of visitors is included. We do have 6 individuals that have signed in. If you have a statement or question, please give your name to the secretary. Mrs. Campbell has already given it to me. In addition to attending, the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also the 1071 HD version, and online via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. At this time, I would ask everybody to please stand, and we'll salute the American flag. Pledge allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all.
Again, just for the record, we do have both Mr. Gomes and Mr. Sullivan joining us tonight via Zoom, which is still allowed in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I will establish a quorum, but before we establish a quorum, we want to welcome the newest member to the school committee from Ward 1, Jorge Vega. Thank you, Mr. Vega. We truly, I'm a resident of Ward 1, so we truly appreciate your willingness to serve. Also want to thank this body and also the City Council. 2 weeks ago, this coming Thursday, 2 weeks ago, we met in the chamber and we were able to elect the unexpired term in Ward 1. So, Jorge, thank you. Do you have any comments at this time before we establish a quorum? Let's establish a quorum first legally. Let me do that. Mrs. Sullivan? Yes. Mr. Gomes?
Here.
Mr. Vega?
Here.
Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Vice Chair Rodriguez?
Here.
Ms. Azak is away at this time. Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
And I'm here as well. The floor is yours, Ward 1 School Committee member.
Hey, everybody. As discussed, I'm Jorge Vega, and I did not expect to be sitting here with you all at the beginning of the school year. I'm very excited about the opportunity to lend my voice to the discussion. I've had the chance to talk to all the members of the committee, as well as Mayor Sullivan and Dr. Cobbs, and all I've heard is passion from everyone that I've spoken to, and a real commitment to the city of Brockton. I just want to be clear, we may not agree on everything, but it's my intent to work with everyone, so I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Thank you very much. We have established a quorum. We have called the meeting to order. Agenda number 2 is hearing of visitors. I need to read into the record the following. Pursuant to school committee policy, each person requesting to speak shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. Since this period is limited to 15 minutes, a total of 5 people shall be permitted to speak on a first-come, first-served basis. As chair, we do have 6 members. Nobody will object at this time. We'll have all 6 members speak, so we'll do a total of 18 minutes. We do have the first individual, Lori Mason, please. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. $91,000 in grants not earned by students. What a disgrace, such a disservice. Who was in the position to oversee the grant? Obviously, it was someone with little or no knowledge. I am requesting, no, I'm demanding an investigation into the qualifications of all city employees of the positions they hold. Also, it was said that there was a new director of transportation that was qualified. Well, if she's qualified, why is she going to the transportation supervisor for everything? There's also a question regarding tablets that are installed in the school buses, vans, and the wheelchair van. They were installed 3 years ago. They're used to scan IDs, to make sure who is on the bus and if they're on the right bus. They are in the bus, they're not using them. And they were installed, like I said, 3 years ago. The buses also have GPSs, but are not working because they are not hooked up all the way. The transportation supervisor continues to violate the driver's union contract, causing more money to be spent on transportation. I was recently informed that They have hired a good mechanic, but he doesn't have a CDL license. Why does BPS have a full-time locksmith? Why does BPS have 2 full-time masons? Does the school committee research investigate money funds requested? Does the school committee research investigate qualifications of a person for position? Does the school committee research investigation positions to see if they are needed, AKA full-time locksmith, full-time masons? If not, why not? That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jonia Howard, please. Followed by Candace Howard. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Journey Howard. Some of you may remember me from our last meeting where I spoke about keeping our school open. I am here again today to ask you to find a way to prevent its closure. Even at 9 years old, I understand that closing our school is not the solution to the problem. We are the future that will one day sit in the seat you're sitting in. So invest in us instead, in our future. Let us set the tone for other virtual schools to follow our lead. Like we say, BVLA leads the way. I hope at least one person here works with us to spark change. This is much needed in Brockton. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Great job.
Candace Howard, please. Good evening.
Good evening, school committee members and Dr. Cobbs. I'm here once again to advocate for keeping our virtual elementary school open. It's disheartening to feel like our voices aren't being heard. I've reached out to all of you, but the silence is deafening. I urge you to evaluate our MCAS and STAR data supporting the success of our program and the importance of keeping our virtual elementary school open. While I understand that cuts may be necessary, but let's not sacrifice our vital elementary program at Brockton Virtual Learning Academy. Instead, let's join in the fight to include virtual school in the school choice program to attract more students to Brockton. And most importantly, let's place all of our students first. We have one of the best technological schools in Mass, MIT. So it seems ironic that we're trying to close our virtual elementary school when it's nurturing our early learners into a world that excels in technology. The virtual school gives them an option and an alternative way of learning. Let's work together to strengthen our community and prevent families from seeking alternatives and learning pathways elsewhere. I extend a formal invitation to each of you to attend our upcoming parent meeting for April 25th. Your presence is crucial as we share our presentation so you truly understand BVLA and witness firsthand why our program is essential. Together, let's explore strategies to attract more students and revenue back into BPS, ensuring a brighter future for our schools and community. Most importantly, to keep our students at BPS here where they should be. We believe through technology learning excellence, we will show that our district is innovative, competitive, and groundbreaking by giving our students advancement into a world of technology progression. Thank you for this opportunity as we work together for betterment of all of our students, giving all of our families a voice to be heard. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Stapleton, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Superintendent Cobbs, school committee members. I'm just here quickly to speak about an event that's going to be held on June 15th. It's the second annual Brockton Summer Gala. Many of my committee members are actually here. And just to let you know, the gala is held at Ann's Palace down on 277 Main Street from 7 to midnight, 7:30 to midnight. We have Bernie Hassan and the fabulous Brocktones as a band. I have a stand-up comic coming and a DJ. And people ask, what's the purpose of the gala? The purpose is real simple. I sort of foresaw maybe a year or two ago the need that some of our schools were going to have with discretionary spending. So I established a few goals. The prior superintendent would help me with the Hall of Fame. We have the only academic Hall of Fame, not only in Brockton, I think in the whole county at South Middle School. The mayor's father-in-law is one of the 40 members who've been inducted in the Hall of Fame over the last 3 years. It costs a little bit of money, not a ton, but I put it on every year. Probably $1,000 comes to me, and the other $3,000 or $4,000 comes from the money we raise. In addition, we want to start scholarships in honor of George Baldwin, a famous South graduate, and Dr. Susan Zakowitz, the great Brockton High principal, who was a student at South. We want to establish scholarships. We need to endow that money so we have enough. In addition, we sponsor field trips. We want to create a mentor-mentee program where our 8th graders next year will be welcoming our 6th graders. So we need some money on that to establish, the T-shirts, et cetera. All these things being done by the committee I have. We haven't had a library at South Middle School since 2006. So I thought about today as the MCAS was being, taken by the children, how our kids struggle with literacy. So many English language learners. We don't have a library. My goal with this fundraiser is to give $1,000 to each of the English teachers next year to create a small mini library in their rooms. And then the year after, maybe we'll do the math teachers, the science, the social studies, et cetera. So we'll bring a library without a librarian, because obviously in fiscal times it's a challenge to bring a full-time librarian. But we're going to go around it. We're going to create a way to find it. Recently, my good friend Nubia Rateau produced a video for us, a promotional video. I'll make sure it's forwarded to every member on the committee, and at some point we'll get it up on the screen, so hopefully you can see it. And just to give you, I got 40 seconds here. I feel like time is ticking down. I got to hurry. When my basketball season ends over at Massasoit at the end of February, beginning of March, from that point to the gala, it's about 15, 16 weeks. I spend about 25 hours a week. It's a 400-hour labor of love. I'm not doing this for any money. We don't get paid. I have a great assistant, Amanda Gomez, who helps me out in everything. We put all this time in. Why? We want to make sure that South is, was, and will be the best middle school in Brockton. We create these programs, we do these things because we care. So this summer, think about it, June 15th, come on down to Ann's Palace. I'll be out raising funds right now. I've got a ton more people to go, but I'll make it work. The goal is this year $40,000 for South Middle School to raise, and I'll be back at some point. I appreciate your time and effort. Thank you to the committee. Thank you.
Fred Bond, followed by Lisa Bond, please. Evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Fred Bond, and I've been here for 4 years, and this is the only school I know and love because I have social anxiety, and I feel like when I'm on the computer, I feel more in place because you don't have a big crowd looking at you, or you don't have to go back to classes and walk. And I love this school. I really wanted to stay. I have one more year, and I just really am hoping it doesn't shut down, and thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bond again. I hope I don't cry again. But one thing I wanted to point out was what he was saying is that he only has 1 year until he'd be in 6th grade and then be able to stay virtual. So he's very upset at that. And I feel like I was bombarded with this information when I got told very recently that it was going to close down. And like I said last time, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. I really don't. My kids love the school. They depend on the school. And it's been keeping me up at night. I don't want my kids to go back to regular school because this is what they want. And also, I feel like they learn more on the computer, they know more, they're able to navigate stuff that they typically, I don't think, would be able to navigate in a regular school. And there's only 3 teachers that make up for the elementary at virtual. So it's not big big enough to make a difference, in my opinion, to close it when it's only 3 teachers that would be keeping the school open. And I don't know what else I was gonna say, I'm at loss. I just want you guys to know how important it is to me and my children, and how important it is for the other kids all behind me. But thank you for your time. I don't know what else to say besides this school really does mean the world to me and my kids, and it was really a blessing to have it in the first place. And he's going to 5th grade next year, and he's been in the school since he started school. So this is like literally all he knows. And he's having such anxiety about going back. He didn't want to speak in front of everybody, but he wanted to so he could let you guys know the importance to him.
Did a great job, Fred.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you all, hearing and visitors, truly appreciate it. We will conclude Agenda Item 2, hearing and visitors. We will now go on to Agenda 3, which is the report of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jim Cobbs at this time. Dr. Cobbs, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, school committee members. Our first item will be teaching and learning with a student representative report from Anthony Vega.
How you doing, everyone? I'm Anthony Vega. My job as student representative is to show the other side of Brockton High that's not publicized and shed light on the good things that happen, despite of all the negativity surrounding the school. First of all, I wanted to talk about the scholarships that BHS released. An incredible 106 were available to seniors, in addition to more from outside companies and businesses. And it was through those businesses and donations that we get the opportunity to lessen the ever-going heavy financial burden that college puts on us, which is very influential in our decision to either pick a college or even attend college, which is another way BHS helps its students. More with colleges. As a senior, I know the path to college is difficult and tedious at times. Because of these common struggles, I'm thankful for the helpful opportunities through the school and the guidance department. Not only was it just the scholarships, but they've been more than willing to help and answer my questions. Not just my questions, but the overall questions, especially with FAFSA this year, as it's been really difficult to work through it, and I know that's a big struggle for a lot of students, including myself. So they've provided webinars and help sessions, which has really been enlightening for me, and I'm sure it has been for a lot of others. Next up is the Livingstone College Assembly, where seniors were invited to join an assembly hosted by Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. Not only were they just shown the opportunities that could await them at the school, but they were surprised with even full ride scholarships to the school, which once again is a giant opportunity for all the students. Next up, I'm going to be recognizing the Scholastic Art Awards. Out of thousands of submitted artworks, 11 of the BHS students were awarded either a gold, silver, or honorable mention award. There's a couple on the right. These are the students that continue to represent the strengths of the art department here and inspire future artists to do what they love. Just like looking into and putting pictures on the PowerPoint, I found myself like lost scrolling in the different artworks, and I'm like, these kids are super talented, and this is what needs to be pushed at this school, just the talents that all these students have and can offer to this, the community. Next up is towards the concert choir and chamber singers, who each received gold medals in the 2024 Massachusetts Instrumental Choral Conductors Association. Their performance included a diverse range of genres, such as traditional Ecuadorian, Filipino, and African American songs. Their outstanding showing qualified them to participate in the MICCA gold medal showcase, as well as glowing comments from the judges. So congratulations to the voices of BHS. More with music, 6 BHS musicians showed out at the Massachusetts Music Educators Association All-State Music Festival, performing an impressive concert in Boston's very own Symphony Hall, which of course we're very proud to see these students succeed and represent the BHS music department, which has always been fantastic. And then of course the drama club for this year, their production will be their adaptation of The Wedding Singer. And if there's one thing I know about the drama club at Brockton High, they never disappoint. So I will 100% be enjoying this masterpiece that they have to offer this year. May 10th, 11th, and 12th. You can see the dates at the top. So if you'd like to come, I highly encourage it to support the cast and crew that put so much effort into the show. Next up, we have the Empower Yourself program. So a few special BHS students competed in the nationwide Empower Yourself program, where they showcased their grasp on STEM topics and applied it to real-world situations. So not just Brockton High, but also Ashfield Middle School students took first and second place in the oral presentation of their topics, which highlighted the economic impacts of the coming decline in America's working age population. That was a mouthful. And they also won second place for their work on deepfakes and artificial intelligence, which, coming from me, I have no clue what some of those things are. So it's obviously not easy. So for them to grasp it fully, that's impressive. So they should feel extremely proud of their achievements and the way they placed in the competition. Next up was the Empower Yourself robotics team, which was new to me. And when I heard about it, I was so excited to talk about it because not only am I interested in STEM, I didn't know it was offered at BHS in the way that it is here. So essentially, they prepare to compete in the STEM Ed Aero Robotics Regional Competition in May, and they've been developing autonomous drones using coding and engineering. Their competition will have their drone fly to a certain location while being judged by military professionals. Students also say that they hope the program inspires others to explore the world of STEM and see what it holds. So good luck to the future engineers and coders of BHS. Next up, MCAS. On March 26th and 27th, the school tested almost 800 sophomores for the ELA MCAS with a 98.6% attendance rate. Students showed up, took their time, worked their hardest, and most left their testing rooms with the feeling that they crushed the test, which is what we want to see. I know test scores is something that always can be improved, so it's nice to see that they feel ready and educated when they're taking the MCAS. Today, from periods 1 through 4 at Brockton High, our IB full diploma students held an IB academic fair for the freshman and sophomore students. Their focus was on equal access for all. They presented their ideas and plan to Miss Umbriana of the office, who provided supplies for the students to set up their booths. Each booth focused on different subject areas and not only had the informational sheets for students, but also had games and experiments for visitors to participate in. Over the 4 period, there were about 300 visitors from English classes and ESL classes. Teachers reported that the fair generated quite a bit of discussion and interest in the IB classes, which puts an emphasis on the special opportunities that BHS has to offer, because these IB courses aren't offered everywhere. So we're hoping that it draws more people to come to the school and enroll in these courses and give them more opportunities to learn. Then we have the Classical and Modern Language Honor Society next Tuesday, April 30th at 1 in the Little Theater. 59 exceptional language students will be inducted into the Classical and Modern Language Honor Society, and they've had to maintain A averages in their language classes, completed 3 years of the language, demonstrate good character, and completed community service in that language in order to be inducted, which is not easy to do. I've been taking Chinese for 6 years. I don't think I could tell you a sentence. That's a joke if my teacher's watching that. So really to be able to thrive in a language and do community service and maintain an A, that's a lot to handle, especially while juggling the other responsibilities that come with school and life. So congratulations to those 59 students. Next up, this Friday at 110 in the Little Theater, 2 BHS students were selected to be student ambassadors in a trip to Korea, which was organized by the Educational Divide Reform Institute. These students will have the opportunity to explore the rich culture in Korea and have an unforgettable experience, which is definitely huge for especially high schoolers. Not only does it look good on college resumes and all that other stuff, but like outside the professional standpoint, just to go to another country and see the differences between especially Korea and America will be, I hope it will have an everlasting impact on them, and it's nice that they get the opportunity to do that. And as for student feedback, I haven't personally noticed any significant changes, which I think is a good thing. When asking my peers, they tell me that they've seen a noticeable decrease in all the fights, altercations, and other disturbances that have been broadcast to the public through news and rumors. I do still see a strong presence of the wandering during class, but to give credit to the staff, I see them confronting the students, but the students just don't seem to care. So I feel like it's more accountability on the students and almost the parents of the students to make sure that they're in class on time, and not so much the lack of effort on the school side, because I do see teachers putting in effort and trying to make the halls clearer and put the students in class where they belong. Thank you for your time.
Any questions of the body for Student Representative Anthony? Thank you very much, Anthony. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Oliver, please.
Is there any way you can get us an update how the funding is going, or the fundraiser for the prom, for the senior class?
As far as I know, I'm not that involved. I'm student representative, which is bad on me, but I think it's done. I could be wrong, because the prices came out for the tickets, and I think it's $85 for seniors and $95 for if you're taking people from other schools or below grades. But I think the fundraisers are done.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Anthony? Newest member.
My man, you did a nice job there.
Thank you.
So next year, there's going to be a ninth grader that walks into Brockton High. In your opinion, like, what can we do to ensure that their next 4 years are stellar?
My opinion would be make sure that they receive the help they need at the start, because I feel like the beginning of your high school experience builds a foundation for what the rest of their 4 years will look like. Make sure like they're in touch with their guidance counselors. If they're struggling in classes, get them help. If they're struggling mentally, emotionally with anxiety, make sure they know they have a place to go to and a person to talk to, because having that outreach that Brockton High does offer, it makes it a huge difference if they know that they can take advantage of those opportunities.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Gomes, do you have any questions for Anthony as student representative at this time?
Not at this time, just a big thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again, Anthony. We'll continue. Report of Superintendent of Schools.
And thank you, Principal McCaskill. We appreciate you. Next will be a report from presentation on BITK conference and photo voice from Dennis Dinucci.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Richards. I'm the Director of Art, and I'm going to start the presentation, and then Dennis will join me. First, I'd like to thank Superintendent Dr. Cobbs, Mayor Sullivan, Vice Chair Rodriguez, and members of the school committee for giving us this time to present this evening. Excuse me. Also, I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Connors, the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, Sharon Walder, Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, and Mr. Kevin McCaskill, Principal of Brockton High, for the support and endorsement of this program that we'd like to highlight tonight. These programs have come together in partnership between the Health and Wellness Department and the Art Department. We enjoy working together. We feel it really can tie everything, students' experiences together. So we'd like to take this time to celebrate two great programs here at Brockton High, the Peer Mediation Program and then the Photo Voice Club. And we'd also like to recognize the amazing local partner, High Point, the Brockton Area Prevention Collaboration, who is really, this is them. They've brought this to us, and we've been very lucky to have them as partnership. And now I'd like to introduce my partner in crime, Mr. Ginich.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Sarah. Sarah's been a wonderful friend and colleague, and I look forward to continued collaboration between our two departments. When I first came on as Director of Health and Wellness 5 years ago, the very first organization that reached out to me was the team at High Point. And I can't thank them enough. I don't even have the words to thank them enough for all that they've done for the Health and Wellness Department and for the students of Brockton. Just some highlights right away. The team at High Point, when we broke with COVID and were forced into remote learning, their team went above and beyond to put together remote learning materials for our students, K through 12. They were outstanding. They provide yearly, they update for all of our health classes, in-depth curriculum that's aligned with the National Health Education Standards that focuses on drugs, alcohol education, and the impact of substance abuse on society. And they teach. They actually come in and they do guest lecturing and guest teaching in grades 5 through 12 in our schools. So just an outstanding organization and just wonderful people that go above and beyond for our students. This year, High Point held the 7th annual Be in the Know Youth Leadership Conference at Bridgewater State College. Now, several local schools are invited, and they're usually allowed to bring 15 or 20 student delegates to the conference. The staff at High Point, knowing about our peer mediation program and the students that participated in the Photo Voice program, they actually invited all of our peer mediators, all 55 peer mediators, all 15 of the Photo Voice students. Everyone was invited to attend, and they foot the bill for everything. They paid for transportation, a beautiful breakfast for our students, a beautiful lunch, and so much more. It was an experience that we dream about being able to provide for our students, and thanks to the team at High Point, Brockton was well represented at the 7th annual Be in the Know Youth Conference. To tell you more about the High Point organization and Brockton's participation at the conference, I'd like to introduce Amanda Sandoval, Director of Communications and Prevention Services at the High Point Treatment Center and the Brockton Area Collaborative.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Amanda Sandoval. As Dennis mentioned, I'm the Director of Communications and Prevention Services for High Point Treatment Center. In my role, I oversee local, state, and federal funding to address substance use prevention, underage and problem gambling prevention, and mental health first aid across 11 communities in Plymouth County, including the city of Brockton. Not only do I have the privilege of working in the city as a partner, but I grew up here, and I'm a proud Brocktonian and alumni from the class of 2007. It saddens me to hear about all of the terrible things being said about the city and about the school district. But unfortunately, it's just really not very different from when I was a student here. Today, we just have social media kind of working against us. But we also have it working for us when we're able to capture the video that I'm going to show you tonight. It's been a great honor working alongside the Brockton Public School District since I started my role in 2012. We have fostered a trusting and mutually beneficial partnership, which is really a testament to the strength and the collaboration with Dennis Genich and Nick Lee. These men are professional, loyal, considerate, and engaged partners. They lead with yes, and they truly want to make a difference in the lives of the students of Brockton. They make it easy to collaborate, and they're always looking for ways to support our team and improve the health, wellness, and resources for the district. We've had the opportunity to update the health curriculum to include prescription drugs and heroin, provided professional development trainings, we've come into health classes as guest speakers, and so much more. And you will hear from my team tonight about the fabulous partnership we've had since 2019 on the Underage Problem Gambling Prevention Grant using photography as a prevention-based tool. We want to highlight our experience working with the students of Brockton through our annual Be in the Know Youth Conference, though. That's why I'm here tonight. This peer-to-peer educational conference brings together 15 schools from around the region to hear from each other on topics impacting their schools and the things that they're doing to make positive change occur in their community. This year, we had the pleasure of hosting around 70 students from Brockton High School at this free conference where they showed up with their positive, considerate, polite, engaged, and fun energy. BHS students shared with the over 250 participants about their peer mediation program and how it could be brought back to their own schools. Students also participated in a World Cafe breakout session on the topic of youth empowerment and advocacy. Students had the opportunity to meet in small groups and then present on to the larger group on what they discussed. Brockton students, as always, blew us away with their bright minds and their authentic vulnerability. To end the day, we hosted a dance party, and for the last 2 years, Brockton High made it the most fun, lively, engaging way to end the day. Not only does this conference empower students to know that their voice matters and that it can make a difference, but they learn that they can have fun without using substances. Another testament to the level of manners and gratitude that we've received from the Brockton High students is that for the past 2 years, they have each one of them sent us a handwritten thank you note. Not a single other one of the schools that we work with that come to the conference do that, and that is just a true testament. They express their appreciation for the opportunity to be involved from the start of the conference, planning it to finishing the day. After the conference, we also received a message of appreciation from Dennis, where he shared that we made a, quote, dramatic and lasting impact on the lives of these students, and during what had been a difficult year for the Brockton Public Schools, shined a positive and hopeful light on future possibilities for these students, end quote. We are so grateful for the opportunity to be able to create these dramatic and lasting impacts on these students, but what they don't realize is the lasting and dramatic impact that they leave on us. The graciousness and willingness to participate in positive change in Brockton is felt from the top down. The way these kids are going to view themselves starts from the top down. And we have firsthand felt that same level of love from them and from Dennis. And even though the times have changed, the stereotypes and the stigmas that have been put up against these kids hasn't changed. Yet despite this, these students continue to show up every single day with the most enthusiasm, the best ideas, and the greatest instincts for innovation. These are the things that the news won't talk about. However, we worked with Anawan Studios, who is another alumni from Brockton High, to create this film we're about to share with you. How the students were on this one day at the youth conference captured here is the truth that we have experienced every single time working with the students of Brockton Public Schools.
Why isn't it playing?
I don't think you want me to sing, but it seems like the sound might be. I heard it a little bit.
There's over 50 students here from Brockton High School.
Do you mind starting it over?
Brockton High has had a lot of negative publicity lately, but there are so many kind, hardworking, smart, responsible students at our school, like the ones here today. Now I'm going to turn it over to them. We are a
feelings. That's what we do.
Want me to start over?
There's over 50 students here from Brockton High School. Brockton High has had a lot of negative publicity lately, but there are so many brave, kind, hardworking, smart, and respectful students at our school, like the ones here today. Now I'm going to turn it over to a few of them.
We are a group of students in our school that just want to help other students. There's a lot of problems going on at Brockton High, and a lot of students just need a safe place to come and vent and talk about their feelings. That's what we do.
So we can definitely make that available to you all so that you can hear it without the echo and you have access to use it in any way that you guys need to. Thank you.
Now, because they're so modest, they won't tell you, but during a day-long conference, every 15 minutes, High Point stopped, and they they had drawings, and students from every district won prizes. And I mean, $10 gift cards, $25 gift cards, $50 gift cards, $100 gift cards, Bluetooth speakers, ran the gamut. The grand prize at the end of the day was a brand-new laptop computer. And it was won by one of our Brockton students. So that's the generosity, that's the dedication that High Point has to Brockton. The next person I'd like to bring up to talk about our peer mediation program at Brockton High School is Jen Runiak. She's a health teacher and the peer mediation advisor at Brockton High School. Probably the best compliment that I could give any teacher is to tell them that they are good for kids. And Jen Runiak is good for kids. Jen, come on up.
Good evening. Again, my name is Jen Runiak. I'm a health teacher here at the high school and the advisor for peer mediation program. Thank you, Dennis, for the compliment. Peer mediators are a small group of high school students who are trained to help other students in resolving conflicts peacefully. Currently, we have 55 trained peer mediators. Peer mediation training consists of how to use active listening skills, how to remain impartial, how to ask open-ended questions, how to deal with angry peers, how to assist peers in brainstorming solutions to their conflicts, and the importance of confidentiality. Mediations take place when an administrator submits a referral form and both parties in conflict agree to participate in the mediation process. If the issue is resolved, a contract with the details of the resolution is drafted and signed by all the parties and shared with the referring administrator. In my 2 years here at Brockton High, the program has grown from just a handful of mediators to 70 approved candidates for next year, and there's a wait list of close to 50 more interested students. The mediators have been successful at helping to resolve over 90% of the referrals we have received. Besides learning important lifelong conflict resolution skills and assisting in keeping the peace within our school, Another highlight of the program is our participation in the annual Be in the Know conference. Attending this conference allows our students to meet and collaborate with peers from over 15 other school districts in the Plymouth County. I have seen firsthand how this conference experience inspires and empowers our students. They are inspired to become leaders within our school and within our community. I'm now going to hand over to Kaylina, one of our students, to speak more about her experience as a peer mediator.
Hi, my name is Kaylina Baez. I'm a junior in Brockton High, and I've been a peer mediator for 2 years. Last year was my first time being a peer mediator, and I feel like I really was able to open up and be who I really am right now. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Miss Sareva. She saw potential in me, and she knew that I could be more than what I was. And I will not lie, my freshman year was not as good as it could have been. I wasn't with the best group of friends, and I didn't know who to go to in a case that I needed somebody to talk to. But when I was introduced to peer mediation, I felt like I had a community at school that I can go to. There's been a couple of times where I've ran crying to Miss Roniak, and she was there for me, for anything. And peer mediation really just isn't just a program where kids just hang around. No, we try to help other kids and bring something to them. It's hope. I've met so many friends there that I would have never ever talked to, and I would have never talked to anybody actually, because I have anxiety sometimes, but with peer mediation that settled down and went away, and I've been able to do so many other things. And peer mediation really just is home in school, if that makes any sense. And what we're trying to do we're not just trying to say in Brockton High, we're trying to bring it out into more. We're trying to bring it into the community, do something for others, bring it into elementary schools to prevent what's happening in Brockton High right now. And just so they have a steadier pace when they get to high school and middle school, so there's not fights and there's not arguments and misunderstandings. And it really has just opened up many opportunities, like the Be in the Know conference, youth conference, where last year was my first time attending, and it was nothing how I expected it to be. There was just a whole bunch of kids that I would have never met in my entire life that had so much to bring, so many ideas that I would have never understood or even thought about. And I heard so many stories from people who was recovering from drugs, and it just opens your eyes to problems that are going on and things that really do happen. And I'm very grateful that I could be a part of that. And it opens up more to what I want to do in the future. I know I want to do so much more my senior year, and when I grow up, I want to be more, and I want to be the change that people see. But that's pretty much it. And thank you for having me.
Sorry, we were just planning out our attack, partner in crime again. Photo Voice and High Point. I can't say enough. This is a club that ran after school on Tuesdays, and they gave our kids so much stuff. They gave them cameras to take home to do the projects. They gave them a full dinner every Tuesday night, mac and cheese, chicken, full dinner. They took a family field trip to Supercharge, where kids could bring their families, their little brothers, their cousins, a whole slew of people. It was just unbelievable. They had a wonderful time. And most importantly, they instilled in our students that their voices matter and that their voices will shape the future. This Photo Voice program has created an environment in which our students using their artistic voices for activism in their own community, that they can make changes here in Brockton High, in their homes and in their communities. That's the power of art for change, right? I'd also like to give a big shout out to Amanda Dodge. She is the BHS art teacher that has supervised this club and worked closely with Kara Ferguson and Julie Constantino. They'll be up next. She made sure they had everything they needed on the school side, so I really appreciate all her efforts in that. So I'd like to bring up Kara Ferguson and Julia Constantino now to tell you a little bit more about the program, and then we have two students to give a couple.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kara Ferguson, and I'm a prevention coordinator for High Point Treatment Center alongside Julia Constantino and Amanda Sandoval, who spoke earlier. We both co-facilitate the Brockton High Underage Problem Gambling Photo Voice Project. Quite a mouthful. But we first wanted to thank you all today for affording us the opportunity to highlight all of the tremendous work being accomplished by our Brockton High students. So, I'm assuming this is my clicker. No? That's okay, we don't need it. I do want, oh, beautiful. All of the photos you'll see on the slideshow are photos that will be shown at tomorrow night's exhibition alongside their captions. So all of the artwork you will see tonight is produced by Brockton High students. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the program, the Photo Voice Project is funded through the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, more specifically their Office of Problem Gambling Services. The Photo Voice Project operates over the course of a 10-month cycle and harnesses a youth-centered approach to engage local students in underage and problem gambling prevention. Through this process, students attend 14 weeks of educational sessions, learning about social justice, political advocacy, public speaking, and the dangers that come with unhealthy risk-taking, whether this be substance use or gambling. Students are then challenged to apply their newly gained knowledge and skill sets to capture photographs that answer questions about the gambling behaviors and attitudes within the Brockton community. The goals of the project are to prevent and reduce underage gambling and problem gambling amongst Brockton youth, as well as to teach youth the tools to develop and maintain the healthy lifestyles that they need in order to ensure that they will not develop disordered gambling habits. The beauty we have found with the Photo Voice Project is that these students are now trained to be active leaders in their community. Through this process, Brockton youth are mobilized to promote prevention messaging and resources community-wide and enact service learning projects directly connected to their community's challenges and needs. This year, our Brockton group chose to focus on providing mental health and coping skills education and support to younger students within public elementary schools. The project does not end there. It also includes a night where we invite caregivers and students to go go-karting at Supercharged Entertainment in Wrentham and enjoy a night of fun. In addition to the opportunity for engagement and entertainment, we provide a presentation to increase caregivers' understanding of the importance of underage and problem gambling prevention and their ability to enhance protective factors and reduce risk factors in their youth's lives. We end the year with the Photo Voice exhibition, which displays the photographs of each student in gallery format. This event is open to the public and aims to generate community-wide discussions about the impacts of problem and underage gambling and the steps we can take to promote positive youth development, social emotional learning, and holistic family and health wellness. Our team at High Point has had the honor and privilege to host the project in collaboration with Brockton High since 2019, and Julia and I have been directing the project since 2022. I want to take a moment to challenge all of you in the room to envision the most impassioned, dedicated, hardworking, talented, brilliant, and inspiring cohorts of students in your mind. Just do a little imagination. For us, the group that comes to our mind is none other than our Brockton High School students. Every day that we come into the building, our team is consistently met with students who epitomize what it means to be innovative and ingenious champions of change. Our Photo Voice Project is merely a microcosm of the renaissance taking place here at Brockton High School. We only work with a fraction of the incredible artists, academic curve busters, and natural-born leaders that walk through these halls every day. Although their photography speaks for itself in terms of talent, the true gift is watching the transformation of these students from the start to the end of the year. Sorry. listening to their nuanced understanding of the problems posed to their generation and supporting their efforts to make positive change a reality. These students demonstrate maturity and wisdom far beyond their years, and frankly, far beyond what they're ever credited for. Their resiliency is truly unmatched. When COVID-19 struck us all in 2020, these students did not miss a beat, not once. They persevered through the tumultuous transition and carried on to host their community exhibition via Zoom that year. These students are committed to their learning every single day and actively pursue peer leadership opportunities that enrich the lives of people around them. In addition to the risk of underage gambling, Photo Voice participants historically have been some of the first amongst their peers to be generating awareness around the need for greater mental health support. The occurrence of COVID-19 magnified the need for these types of conversations, and luckily for Brockton, these youth were some of the bravest ones to initiate such serious and vulnerable conversations. Now I'll turn it over to Julia.
Over the last 6 months, each of our participants have harnessed their inner creativity to tell the stories of what it means to be a youth in Brockton when confronted with issues such as problem and underage gambling. Through this project, these students have brought forth their own worldviews through their photos and captions. They have pushed the bounds of what advocacy can look and feel like. Each of our 14 youths showcased their power to bring about meaningful change for future generations. One of the greatest successes to come out of the project is how these students act as youth leaders, bridging the connection for their peers and elders on how to lead more nourishing and fulfilling lives in spite of the adversities they're up against every day. Over the years, Brockton Photo Voice students have had the opportunity to share their accomplishments at our regional conference, as they talked about earlier. But students were able to craft their own presentation to inspire other students in other neighboring school districts to take on Photo Voice in their districts, as well as displaying their own photos and captions for everyone to see. We've also been able to maintain the relationships built with Photo Voice youth once they've completed the project and graduated. Alumni have gone on to pursue degrees in photography and careers related to problem gambling services, continuing the work that they started with Photo Voice. Over the last 2 years, Kara and I have had the pleasure to mentor 27 students, and this year, one student returning, to be a student leader for the project. In addition to the 27 youth, we have engaged with more than 75 caregivers. Our team was also able to highlight the Photo Voice project across our social media platforms, and we can confidently report that the collective content of these students has reached over 5,500 views in 1 year alone, showcasing the hard work and voices of these students beyond just the Brockton community. These students' hard work has also gained attention from reporters and writers. For example, this year we had a writer from the Boston Globe reach out to be interviewing our staff about this project to showcase the student voices. Over the last 2 years, these students have challenged us, as well as themselves, to work towards how we can better accept, embrace, and support the students in return. I cannot emphasize enough how confident and inspired I am to know that our future is in the hands of these students. Tomorrow night is the annual Underage and Problem Gambling Photo Voice exhibition. It will be held in the Fine Arts Lobby. The exhibition will start promptly at 6, and attendees can expect to hear from representatives from the Department of Public Health's Office of Problem Gambling Services, in addition to our very own Photo Voice students. Food and drinks will be provided to all who attend, and our hope is that you'll all be willing to spare your time to shine a light on these students. Thank you for your time tonight, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
We have 2 students from Photo Voice that are just going to give a quick recap of their experience. We have Emily Lee and Tayana L'Esperance.
Hello, my name is Emily, and I'll be talking about my experience with Photo Voice today. So, as mentioned before, Photo Voice is a project by High Point Treatment Center that teaches kids about the dangers present within their communities using, as mentioned before, photography. So this year, 14 students focused on preventing and reducing underage and problem gambling. After 15 1.5-hour-long classes held weekly after school, students learned about how gambling can start at an early age and can be seen as less dangerous than substance use because of how normalized it is. Isn't that crazy? So we also learned about the different levels, signs, and behaviors to notice in gambling addiction. and as well as healthy coping mechanisms to use within our lives, which gave us different outlets to reduce stress without having to look towards gambling as a method to get away from our problems. Students also learned useful photography skills, such as framing photos, which allowed us to obtain better pictures for this project that would fit the 3 prompts that we were given. Photo Voice is a great way for students to talk about problems happening within their communities in a safe, educational, and fun environment, as well as learn skills they can apply throughout their lifetime. However, it doesn't just end there. Students actively participated during the lessons, including me, and I don't really like public speaking that much. Produced beautiful photographs with hidden meanings and gave thoughtful feedback on their classmates' work. If you are someone who would be interested in seeing the artwork, and I highly encourage you to show up at our exhibition tomorrow night at 6 to 8 p.m., which is located in the Fine Arts Lobby, that's down the hall. And you can learn more about the project and each student's photos there tomorrow night. Once again, my name is Emily, and I'll be handing over to Taya. Thank you.
In addition to the exhibition tomorrow night, we attended the Be in the Know Youth Conference, as talked about today, which was graciously funded by High Point Treatment Center, where we got to absorb other youth groups focusing on similar issues and were able to talk and share our work amongst one another. It was such a great experience and definitely a highlight of my life. It's definitely going to be a memory that I hold dear. We also plan to host an event with elementary school children where we'll have healthy, positive activities for them to engage in and teach them the healthy coping mechanisms we have learned alongside our program. This program has widened my eyes to the different types of gambling, such as recreational and problem gambling. It has educated me on how to identify gambling and people who may have had a gambling problem, as well as also showed me that gambling is in most of our day-to-day lives, even though if we fail to notice. Photo Voice gave me such a great way to help contribute to my community and gave me a positive, warm, non-judgmental, free environment. It has led me to make many good friends and left such a positive impact on my life. The optimistic and ambitious attitude everyone had during every meeting was such a highlight of my experience during the program. The use of photos to convey a message is such an amazing way to incorporate kids' creativity and their own style into an educational piece. Once again, we will be holding the exhibition from 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow in the Fine Arts Lobby for anyone who'd love to see the work done by our amazing students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody, for your attention so far, and I promise this is the last speaker in this group, but the guy that made it possible for all of our students to be outfitted in beautiful Brockton High School gear and enabled us to win the Spirit Award for the 2nd year in a row. This guy's the real deal. Everything I've come to him with, he says to me 2 things. He says, "What do you need? Let's get it done." So for our final presenter tonight, Mr. Kevin McCaskill, Principal, Brockton High School.
First and foremost, good evening, everyone. And a special thank you go out to Dennis and Sarah, Jen Runiak, thank you, Amanda Dodge. They're just truly, truly fantastic individuals. Give them a round of applause, please. They are simply wonderful. And Kaylina, Emily, and Taya, they are just a small portion of this, just a great student body that we have. Give me a round of applause for those students, please. And contrary to popular belief, schools don't always have all the answers for students. But we need community stakeholders and partners to really fill that void. And High Point is one of those partners. They are truly tremendous at what they do. The care, the concern, and the commitment and the consistency that they offer our students is nothing short of phenomenal. So when we have partners like that, we have to recognize them. So we have a small token of our appreciation. If I can have Ms. Sandoval, Ms. Ferguson, and Ms. Constantino come on up, please. You want the students? Yeah, come on down, please. Yeah, matter of fact, the whole crew, come on down. Whole crew, come on down. Taya, come on. Sarah, you need to get up too. And this reads, Outstanding Partner in Education Award presented to High Point Treatment Center, Brockton Area Prevention Collaborative. Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you.
Oh, we're taking a shot.
I called it. Mr. Lee already texted in and said I can't be in the picture.
No, we can't have him in the picture.
Everybody smile. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
No, thank you for all you do. All right. Oh, yeah, and special thanks go out to Nick Lee as well. Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
Members of the committee, any questions? That was a fantastic presentation. Any questions at this time by any members? Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Great presentation. That brought me back to memory lane. In the early 90s, when I was a freshman here at the high school, there was a partnership through BAMSI and the helpline through Elaine Reiser. And I had the opportunity to be one of those peer leaders with the teen line. And there was 2 different divisions within the teen line. There was a tobacco smoking portion, and then there was also an STD portion of that. I was on the tobacco side, and we were, to show you how much of an impact we were, the group that actually led the fight in the Commonwealth. It wasn't just Brockton to actually make restaurants and bars smoke-free. And one of the first restaurants was Newport Creamery here. For those that are long-time residents of Brockton, when they were on Pearl Street, they were the first one that went smoke-free. Part of that, we did have, we had the Teen Council, Youth Council in the city, and there was also a conference that was held at Massasoit Community College back in the day. And it was kind of the same focus. The STD side, just to show you how impactful it is, I'm going to give him a shout out. He's probably watching, and he's living down in Atlanta. He was so embedded into the STD side that he actually owns his own condom company, and he's from Brockton. Jason Panda, and he's also an attorney. So if you get a chance, you can Google it, B Condoms, a lot of B Condoms. He's actually from Brockton. It's organic. He's big time. And this shows you just how impactful it is when you have those partnerships within different groups in the community to start these students at a young age to change things within the community to make sure that we don't fall into that, smoking and drugs and alcohol. Even though we get to an age, one drink of glass of wine is not going to hurt, but it goes a long way, and I'm happy that this program is rolling out. It's here. All we can do is grow it even more. I know I mentioned about exploring the My Turn and program, bringing it back here to the Step program. Thank you, Hannah, that we had here in the high school. So thank you very much, and great job, everybody, for doing what you do.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Chair. Ms. Oliver, please.
Thank you for everything you guys are doing. Wellness and health is my life as a registered nurse. Somebody that has worked with in a detox center for almost 2 years in the past. For the High Point, where are you guys located?
In Meadowbrook Road in Brockton, but we do have campuses. We just are the Brockton area.
Are you guys only specialized in adults or also in youth? You want to? I have a few questions for you guys. Oh my.
Try me again. So you're wondering, okay, so we have multiple locations located throughout southeastern Massachusetts. We work out of the Brockton office. We also have a team on our prevention division that works down in the Plymouth area, but we have locations in Plymouth, New Bedford, Taunton, and Brockton. We address the full continuum of care, so we have everything from inpatient, outpatient, residential, community-based programming. We serve youth as young as 3 to the full full lifespan. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. If, like a student, is basically running into some, drug abuse and want to get clean, how can they reach you? Because I know we're blindsided. We want to put the blind on us and not notice that we do have a pandemic of drug use within our youth,
Yes.
and also overdose, not only within our youth, also with adults in the city. So how would a student who doesn't want to reach out to their teachers to basically reach out to you guys for treatment, or even to call you guys if there's a family member that needs treatment, that needs inpatient care?
So there are a number of services that can be provided locally. We did just start a youth clinic, so it almost is like a triage for mental health care. Rather than avoiding the emergency room, they can go in and get referrals that way. So the youth clinic at the Meadowbrook campus is definitely one of the services that I would suggest. And then we also have CBHI, which is the Children's Behavioral Health Initiative. We also have school-based counseling. We do have a number of different programs available. We no longer have inpatient substance use detox for adolescents. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough beds being needed. And so we did end up closing that a couple of years ago. But we can certainly send over some flyers and pamphlets of information with further details on those resources.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brockton High School, we have those standees outside of each cafeteria.
What's that?
have all the
Oh,
information.
well, yeah, so when you mentioned that, we do have a resource that was created by, actually, the idea was born from a Brockton High alum, around how to help a friend. So for students who are witnessing their friend struggling with substance use, they're often the first ones to see it before, a parent, a coach, a teacher. And so guiding them on how they can help their friend, and which includes numbers to different resources and things, but also, how do you talk to them? What do you say? And we do have pop-up banners, did you say outside of all of the cafeterias?
Outside of every cafeteria and outside of the main office.
So there are a number of those around the building, hopefully promoting that message as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any other questions from the members that are here? Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Gomes, remote, any questions at this time?
Tim Sullivan, no questions, but a great presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Gomes, any questions at this time?
No question. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. We'll continue to go on. Thank you very much again. Truly appreciate it. Dr. Cobbs.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, everybody. That was outstanding. Great presentation. Congratulations to your students. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of summer schedule for school committee dates. I'll just read this into the record. Brockton School Committee annually adopts a schedule for one meeting per month during the summer. In addition to the summer schedule, special meetings may be called as needed. Establishing a summer schedule of school committee meetings would be helpful due to the fact that committee and school department members are planning vacations. The following schedule is suggested: Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, and Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. That is my recommendation for the school committee summer school schedule.
Members of the committee, any questions at this time, or would we entertain a vote relative to those dates?
Motion to approve Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, and Tuesday, August 13th, 2024, summer schedule.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by the vice chair, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Because we have two members remote, I'll have to call the roll. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Newest member again, Mr. Vega?
Mr. Vega.
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Azak is absent. Mr. Sullivan, please?
Yeah,
And I'm a yes as well, though it does pass by the membership. I also do just want to go on the record saying that myself and the vice chair will be calling special meetings. So please be aware between May 1, actually probably before May 1, and up until the budget will be called, we will be doing meetings relative to the school side of the budget. Also want to let you know that the President of the City Council, Moses Rodriguez, has determined the budget for the city of Brockton, which includes Brockton Public Schools, will be the dates of July 17th, June 17th, which is a Monday, the 18th Tuesday, the 19th Wednesday, the 20th on Thursday. One of those days will be dedicated just to BPS, just to the school budget. So again, 17, 18, 19, 20 will be the city budget hearings this year. We will continue to go on at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, school committee members. Next up is an update from TJ Plant from Open Architects.
Good evening, Mr. Plant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Dr. Cobbs. I'm not sure it's easy to follow that last presentation about the peer mediation and the youth leaders and all the great things happening in Brockton Public Schools and the photo voice and all that. But I know budget's not exactly the most enthralling conversation, but I just wanted to give a quick update to the committee and then just kind of open it up for questions. So I know I presented a lot of information prior to vacation, and that was Schedule 19. It was net school spending, and it was the grants information. Not sure, Dr. Cobbs, if you sent along the information that we had, but certainly send it along, and so the members have it.
Yes, they have a copy of the grant information.
Awesome. And I have it, if I can pull it up if you need me to talk about it. But so right now, we are in earnest prepping for FY25. Dr. Cobbs and his cabinet have been working diligently trying to develop a budget from, I guess I'll call it a zero-based budget, is building it from the ground up and trying to make sure that all the costs that are associated with the needs of Brockton Public Schools are built into the budget and part of the budget requests as we start to vet it. I believe we're going to have hearings starting as early, or meetings with the school committee starting as early as next week. But we are definitely well underway for the fiscal 25 budget development process. Just as a way of an update, House Ways and Means came out with their budget prior to vacation. The Chapter 70 number went up $273,096 from the governor's budget. We're going to continue to monitor that and all the amendments that were filed by the delegation on behalf of Brockton and Brockton Public Schools, and so we'll keep an eye on all of that. And generally speaking, I'll just open up to questions. I know there's been a lot out there as it relates to the grants, as it relates to FY25 budget development, FY24 budget balancing. Open up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Plant. I'll open it up to any members that have any questions for TJ. We also do, on the agenda item, we do have Mr. Clarkson here and Trish Boyer's here as well. And we want to talk about the grants because there was an enterprise article that was not factual, so we want to address that tonight.
TJ, can you put that up again, please?
Yeah, I'll pull that up while Mr. Clarkson or Ms. Boyer wants to talk about it, but I will pull it up right now. So, can everybody see the grant spreadsheet that
Yes,
exists?
I can see it.
And it has some notes that are kind of explaining why the money was sent back. And I think what the important piece, and Troy and or Trish, if you want to jump in, feel free, but I'll just kind of start. So the overall amount of grants that were awarded was $966,000. The district spent $710,000 of those grants and is in the process, has sent back to DESE at their request $255,000 and change. And that is not uncommon for grants to go back. It is not a good practice nor a best practice, but it's not uncommon for grants to go back to the granting agency due to the fact that there may have been issues with timing, issues with payments, issues with like, hey, things just came in cheaper than we anticipated. And those types of those types of things that pop up as part of the grant. So I know it's less than ideal to be sending back $250,000 or just over $250,000, but you know, it is important to understand that there is reasons kind of behind it that just need to be discussed and or part of the grant process going forward to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future. So the only amount sent back to the Commonwealth was $255,000, $616.18.
That's correct. The paper that I left with all of you today, the columns are a little bit different than what I've given you, but basically it's the same numbers. We think that the column that shows the $966,000 of the total grant award was misunderstood to be thought that it was being returned to DESE, but that is not correct. What we returned was the $255,000, and then on the sheet that I gave you today, we've added a few more grants that are not reflected on this page.
Any questions from Ms. Oliver, please?
Hi, Trish.
Hello.
I told you I was going to have a question for you. I know you just added a little bit, I mean, $2,600. How many that was like for 2 grants that you closed out in the past 2 weeks? You gave us information. Yes. How many more do you have to close out?
There's probably another dozen that have to be closed out. We don't think that there's a lot of money left in those, so it's not going to be anything like we've seen in this first round. And then we have a number of other grants that have already been closed out with DESE, yet for a few reasons, we still show a balance in the grants. So we're going to have DESE reopen those grants so that we can submit the balance that's still on our books.
Is that going to increase the amount that we have to pay back?
It will, but I don't know the total of that yet.
Okay. I have a question. Go ahead, TJ.
No, sorry, I just want to chime in. It is important to note that many of the grants so these grants are being closed out, but many of the grants that Trish and her team are working on are 27-month grants. So there's time to make sure that we do the corrections and amendments, necessary amendments, and kind of move the money into the right locations to avoid sending it back.
Thank you.
So that is something that we're actively working on now, is to ensure that all the entitlement grants and others that are multi-year grants are being strategically spent to meet the needs of the district.
Thank you for that clarification. I have a, Troy, maybe you might have this answer, or Trish. I know that Ms. Azak asked a question with all this money that we got to send back. Where are we getting this money to send back to DESE?
So let me clear that up as well. This is money that came in from the Department of Ed. We did not spend it completely, and we're just returning their money back to them. We're returning what we did not spend. So we didn't overspend, and now we're taking it from our budget to send back to DESE. It's DESE's money that we never spent in the first place.
Okay. Also, moving forward, how is the person that you're working with right now getting the hang of closing out grants? And how is this basically going to jeopardize us getting grants in the future?
It wouldn't jeopardize us in the future. Most of these grants a lot of them are federal grants, they're entitlement grants. So they're grants that are given out year after year after year for Title I, for special ed, et cetera. So it's not going to jeopardize anything in the future. And we are putting in place a few procedures so that anybody working on the grants knows how to handle the grants from start to finish, including all the closing out procedures that have to be done.
And they're also going to be getting trained in the munis, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any additional, Mr. Vega, please?
I think this is a question for TJ. You mentioned earlier that it's not odd to see a portion of the funds with grants not spent. Like, do you have any sense of what the typical money left on the table is for other cities?
And that's a great question. I think it really just depends on the strategic planning of spending the grants. I know, I mean, you're looking at what, roughly 25% of the grants going back, and that's probably a little on the high side for 250 to go back on nearly $1 million. And that just comes down to process improvements. And I think Trish nailed it, is there's going to be process improvements and better communication from the granting agency and then the project managers, the program managers that are going to implement the programmatic items in the grant. So my goal in any situation is to send back nothing and to maximize everything. That is not always possible, but that is going to be the goal that Trish and I have for Brockton and Troy and I have for Brockton Public Schools and to going forward.
Thank you. And I think this is for Trish. So when we talk about, you know, these lines for each grant, how much wiggle room is there, if any? So I see, you know, the grants are clearly focused on supplies and teacher, you know, textbooks. If we find ourselves not needing the full grant for textbooks, do we have the flexibility to use that money for anything else?
Yes, you do. You would actually make an amendment through DESE to change the line items.
Is that a difficult process?
No.
Okay.
It's not at all. And not only that, there's a 10% rule so that you can overspend one line item in a grant by 10% or $10,000 maximum, so that if one line item goes over a little bit, you make sure another line item went under a little bit, underspent a little bit. So there's some flexibility there. Only when you're going over the 10% or the $10,000 change do you have to make the amendment in DESE.
And last question is, I mean, is it possible to expect going forward? I don't know if it's on the quarterly basis, if it's, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, for the grant team to do a presentation, letting school committee know where we're at, you know, being open to questions about why something is being spent or not spent at a certain rate and what the plan is to remedy it. Is that a fair expectation?
That's not unusual. I know in the past, I've always presented on a monthly basis to my school committees what was going on with the grants, but I didn't have 100 grants, as we do here in Brockton. So it's more challenging here, so I would not expect something to come through on a monthly basis, maybe quarterly, or something would be more reasonable.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the work you've done.
I think that's entirely reasonable request, is to actually have a quarterly presentation to make sure that the grants are being drawn down, and then if there are surpluses or monies left over, then you do your amendments or no-cost extensions to the grant applications. And I think that is what the new expectation will be and should be for Brockton Public Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I'd just like to thank this team for everything they've done on, this is a lot of work on the grants. Great job. I just want to ask Dr. Cobbs, where are we on the grant manager? Because I know we posted the position, right?
So thanks, great question, Judy. We advertised the position 3 times, and I said it on interviews, and we had an interview team that we put together each time, including the last time we just advertised it recently, and we just had the interviews yesterday?
Monday, yes.
Monday, yeah. I forget what day of the week it is. So there were 2 applicants, and we have chosen a person that works here in the district, and we'll be announcing that person soon once we make the transition over. So,
awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the members that are here? Mr. Sullivan or Mr. Gomes, any questions at this time?
Tim Sullivan has one for Trish.
Sure.
Trish, you had mentioned there's 12 grants that still have to be closed. How long will that take to close them?
Well, what we're doing right now is we're checking the accounting records of the grants. We want to make sure that before we close the grant or return any funds, if there's anything left over, that there were no accounting errors made. So first we have to check the grants, check it against DESI's grants, correcting journal entries if we need to. And then once we decide if there's money to be returned or not, then we start the process to do that. So I think, I think the next school committee meeting is in the next 2 weeks, so hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll make more progress. We've had to pull back a little bit for a few reasons. We've had to work on the end-of-year report. We've been working hard on the FY25 budget as well, and we had school vacations, so staff was really limited last week. So we've had a little bit of time loss in catching up with the grants.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Gomes, any questions at this time?
Yeah, I do have a quick question for either Troy, Clarkson, or TJ. I know I was absent. I was away last meeting you guys had, but I did watch it online. Looking at the FY25 budget and whatnot, quick question about the Schedule 19. Have we figured out or understood the formula that was being used for the calculation?
So I guess, Troy, if you're okay, I'll take that question. You can add fodder if you want. So we got to the bottom of the calculation for the 6 million and change. We believe there's probably roughly 2 million that is going to go back to the city based upon some administrative costs and or fees charged on Schedule 19 that we think is going to be, finalized in the coming days or week. But we think there's basically it's going to go from 6 million to roughly 4 million. And then we're also having a conversation related to the benefits for the drivers for the school buses. That is another number that probably is going to change. There's still a few outstanding issues, and Dr. Cobbs, you can comment on some of the other costs associated with some of the city departments, but I'm not sure we're in a position to full on figure out the rest of whether or not there are city services in support of schools. Beyond that, I think the 2 million plus some transportation costs might be, for fiscal 25 might be it, knowing that for fiscal 26 it needs to dig in a little bit more. I guess, does that make sense to everybody?
Mr. Plant, if you could just clarify, when you say the 2 million is going back to the city, it doesn't mean the city's getting 2 million. It means the city's going to cover.
It means the
city's going to cover 2 million
school
bucks.
spending number goes up by 2 million, and the school department gets 2 million more to spend on educating children.
I would only add to what TJ said, first by agreeing with his assessment, but repeating something I've said, I believe here at the school committee and certainly in our internal team meetings, that I believe moving forward, the issue of the Schedule 19 can and should be simplified. And it can be simply a memorandum of agreement between the city and the schools as to how that's calculated, what that number is. And I think if we put some folks in a room or maybe put together a subcommittee or some way to simplify this process, I think we can do it so that the results can be public and the results can be simplified so that the school committee and the city council and the mayor and the members of the public all understand what the number is and how it's calculated. And that's a strong suggestion from me moving forward, because I think the issue itself, I think, became such a focus and took us away from the larger issue of really developing a consensus number for net school spending.
Mr. Gomes, any follow-ups?
Yes.
Okay,
so
sir.
with that in mind, with what we've learned and seen with the Schedule 19 for FY25, now looking at FY24, the number that was that the schools had to provide for the city services. How is that number? Is that number accurate? Can we get some money back for maybe services that were not rendered or anything like that?
That's an excellent question. I don't know, Tricia, you're the one that's been working on the end of year report as it relates to Schedule 19. I don't even know how to answer this question in a way that, right now, I would go with the Schedule 19 as it was prepared for fiscal 24, only for the fact that I'm not sure the best way to go about reconciling a Schedule 19 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year and trying to have it make sense for both sides. And I know I'm hedging and I'm kind of waffling, but like the city has cleaned out their bank account to help the school department, and for fiscal 25, the school department has all the ability to reconcile Schedule 19 and to kind of increase the appropriation. I guess at what cost? I mean, if the city has to absorb $5 to 7 million in school transportation costs, plus absorb a different Schedule 19 number, I guess I'm not clear on exactly the best way to go about that. And I think maybe that's going to be a special meeting between the mayor, the CFO Troy, Trish, me, and whoever else needs to be in the room to talk about that. I don't know, Trish, do you have any more information related to your end of year report? I know you've been looking for actuals and stuff, so
Right,
I
so.
don't mean to put you on the spot, but
No, that's okay. So remember, I'm doing the end of year report for FY '23.
23, correct, all right. Yeah.
So all Desi needs to know for '23 is the actuals for '23 and a budgeted for '24. So I've used the budgeted.
Okay.
When I do
So we're going to reconcile 24 when 24 ends.
when '24 ends, then we'll get the actuals for the
That actually-
Schedule
that's a
19.
better answer.
Right.
That's a better answer to my waffling a minute ago, so yeah. Thank you, Trish.
I'd like to add to that as well, and not only echo what TJ said, but take it a little further. And once again, remind the school committee that the Schedule 19 was a product of the Brockton Public Schools. It was developed by the Brockton Public Schools and calculated by the Brockton Public Schools. And we have just been through an exercise where the city, I think in an extraordinary fashion, demonstrated its support of, both philosophically and financially, the Brockton Public Schools by addressing the deficit. So I don't think it's appropriate to suggest that the city needs to come up with even more money at this stage of the game after the process that we've gone through to bring us all together to bring the budget into balance.
Mr. Gomes, any follow-ups before I go back around to some of the committee members?
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomes. Ms. Oliver, follow-up?
Quick, I don't even know if it's a question, but the comment. I completely understand what you're stating, your last comment, but my problem is, and my concern is that when you get an invoice and you don't know what you're paying for, and then all this happens 2 weeks ago when we got all this information about what we're exactly paying, when some of the employers are not part of the school, and it's part of the city, and we're paying for those payments, those salaries, that's a problem. I don't mind working with the city councilors, but what we need to always be is be transparent. We don't need to be hiding anything. Yes, we help each other, but when it comes to invoices for Schedule 19, all we ask moving forward is to know exactly what we're paying for. Are those our employers? Are those city employers? Where's the insurance coming from? Are we paying for it? Is the city paying for it? Is it coming from net spending? Is it not coming from that? We just want accountability, we want transparency, so we know exactly what we're spending and where the money's going. I respect everybody in their position, in their field, but we gotta respect also that when we find out there's money being taken away, where we could be spending it on our educators and our students, that's a problem. So when you have the thing that TJ Plant, unless you see something else than what TJ Plant showed us 2 weeks ago, then I need an explanation. Who are those employers, who they work for, and why we've been paying for them. This is my concern.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Mr. Vega, please.
I can be a little slow sometimes, but I promise I'll catch up. So for this coming year, as we plan to build the budget, do we have the capability mathematically to predict in a responsible manner how much Schedule 19 will cost?
Yes.
Okay. And is it a fair expectation that, because this is clearly an item that has garnered a lot of attention and question, is it fair to expect that as we go into this next fiscal year that we can get regular reports on Schedule 19?
Yes.
That detail the things that some folks are asking about? Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you. I mean, on the Schedule 19, part of the working group that we have weekly, working on the budget and presenting to the state, it's more of, services that's rendered through the city that the school department actually does in-house. So Dr. Cobbs and his team is going to, vet that out, which I think we're probably 95% there. Going back, I'd say, 2 years? 2 years now, that was the reason why, I alluded to that the school committee prior to us has never taken up the city ordinance of the Parks Department actually maintaining our fields. So that's part of that Schedule 19 where they're maintaining that, but the school committee needs to act on that because that's our property. It's not fair that our athletic department has to go and request a permit to utilize our fields for our students. So that's something that we have to address sooner than later, and to see how that affects Schedule 19 and what the school department actually gives back to the city for services rendered. My other thing is with the grants, the grant manager position. I'm going to be blunt. The reason why we're in this predicament is that we had people in position that shouldn't be there. That's clear as day. They didn't know what they were doing. They probably had a little bit of qualifications, and we placed them in there. I just hope and pray that the person that the district puts in there knows what they're doing and has some experience in that position. I understand that we're going to be, hopefully we don't make no cuts and money comes in, but I don't think it's the right path to take to move people from inside the district to put them in a position and go and train them so they can do the job. Let's make sure if we have to post that job a fourth time or a fifth time or a sixth time, we do that. I don't want to get into a point where because somebody's potentially going to lose a position or they're going to move and we're just putting them in there, we'll train them and they're going to do a good job, and then we're back to square one where this person is not doing what they're supposed to do. Not saying that, but there's going to be a gray area there. So I just hope that the district does make sure that the person that's in that position knows grants inside and out, that they sleep it and dream it, and they could just wake up with it in front of their face and make sure they present it to us. And when we come to, this body, when we have our budget updates, that's one of the things listed that I would like to see is, I know we've had discussions about this, our grants, where we are with the grants, how many years are left, how much is left with the funding sources, if it's paying salaries, equipment, and so forth. So we're on top of that. That's that, I remember the former Ward 1 representative asked, does a munis pop up in red if there's like a negative? I'm not sure. I've never sat in front of the computer to see how munis is besides getting these reports. But, that's something that needs to happen, should have been happening. Both city side and school side. But I just want to make sure that's part of the process when, if it's going to be a quarterly or it's going to be a monthly, where this committee gets the budget updates to make sure that all the monies are being spent appropriately, and if it's not appropriate, but being spending in time, that hey, we have this amount of time, can we spend it, can we not, so that also the public doesn't know, they sending money back. No, this is the reason why the money is going back, because we weren't able to spend it appropriately with the language that comes with that grant.
Right.
Thank you.
And we agree wholeheartedly with all of that.
Members of the committee, what we will do is kind of like how we just took a vote several weeks ago for the standing agenda item on school safety and security. I think what we will do, and we should do, is we'll do a standing quarterly agenda item relative to grants, relative to Schedule 19, so that everybody will know that it's going to be, 4 times a year. And then if we need to have them sooner than that or more frequently, we'll do that. But that will give the CFO and the school folks as well the ability to know that we're going to be expecting as a body. So we can figure that out. We can take a vote on that later on. Any other questions for Troy or Trish or TJ at this time? Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Gomes, any follow-ups for either Mr. Plant, Ms. Boyer, or Mr. Clarkson at this time?
Tim Sullivan's okay, all set.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Gomes?
No further question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Plant, we want to thank you. I know you skipped your son's sporting event tonight to be here. We truly appreciate that.
All right, they lost 13-6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, my kid lost too, so what can you do? Thank you, TJ. And just Troy and Trish, the vice chair and I are working with Dr. Cobbs. I'm going to announce it in a little while. We're going to be having a special school committee meeting next week. It will be Tuesday. It will be at 7 o'clock. It will not be in here. Just to let you know, this room is booked. The unknown school is booked. We're going to try to get the GAR room, which is on the second floor at City Hall. Where we were 2 weeks ago for your vote was City Council Chambers. It's the other end of the hall on the second floor. I just have to confirm tomorrow with the building department, but we'll be working with you prior to that time as well. But that is going to be the initial start of the school committee body, working with Dr. Cobbs from what his cabinet he is going to be bringing forward with all of you. So just to let you know.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Safe travels. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, TJ.
We will go on to any items to refer to subcommittee at this time. Dr. Cobbs, did you have any matters?
So we do have 2 subcommittee meetings tomorrow, actually. 6 p.m. starts the Safety, Security, Transportation Subcommittee meeting, and then at 7, Facilities Usage and Planning Subcommittee meetings.
Members of the committee, are there any other matters that we need to at this time discuss relative to sending something to subcommittee or creating a subcommittee meeting? Any matters? No. Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Gomes, any matters for subcommittee at this time?
Tim Sullivan, no, nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Gomes?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 4, which is consent agenda. We have A, B, C, D, E, and D and E tonight. What is the will of the committee? Want to take them collectively? Do any members want to take any out individually at this time?
Motion to accept consent agenda.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Sullivan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the vice chair. I will read before we take a vote, and there will be a roll call vote. I'll just read it into the record. Consent agenda A is the approval of 2024-2025 school committee meeting dates. B is the approval of school closing dates for 2023-2024 school year. C is the approval of 2023-2024 home education requests. D is the approval of minutes April 4, 2024, Career Technical Educational Spring Advisory Board. And finally, E is the acceptance of human resource notifications, appointments, certified personnel, appointments non-certified, and then personal actions, which is leaves of absence, resignations, and retirements. We have a motion. It was properly second. I'll call the roll at this time. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. They do pass unanimously, less one. Again, Ms. Azak is not joining us this evening. We'll go on to 5, which is unfinished business. Any unfinished business prior to be discussed tonight? Any unfinished business relative to agenda 5? Seeing none, we'll move on.
One question, Sullivan.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sullivan, I'm sorry.
One question on tomorrow's meeting. we haven't got the meeting codes or the passcodes for the start of the meeting at 6 o'clock.
It's this, it's
Melinda
Mr.
will send them
Sullivan,
to
it's
you.
the same, it's the same, Mrs. Campbell just confirmed, it's the same sign-in as you,
the time.
both you and Mr. Gomes have done tonight on the Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
We will go on to number 6 again, which is new business, and again, the Vice Chair and I and Dr. Cobbs have been working. We will be calling, you will be noticed. We will be having, if you could just put it 7 o'clock next Tuesday night. Let's tentatively see the GAR room, second floor, 45 School Street, City Hall. And again, if the building superintendent says there's already a ZBA or something in planning being used there, we'll circle back. But we will definitely have a meeting next Tuesday night. The basis of that will be starting as a school committee, entire body, working on FY25 budget. Any questions relative to that? We'll go on to number 7. Again, and we want to thank Principal McCaskill. We also have Police Chief liaisons here tonight. School safety and security at this time. If anybody would like to give an update, that would be greatly appreciated.
That will be Officer Jason Mosley, who will do
Mosley
the
is here.
update tonight.
Thank you, officer. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry. Just giving you an update on the school safety for the last 2 weeks. The construction for the safety of the security director is in progress. The CBJJ meeting conducted with a discussion of centered around campus safety and security. With the warm weather, the rampant up checks of schools throughout the city, obviously that earlier today, I think, we saw a couple of people hanging up behind the central sleeping. So we try to target some of those areas now that the warmer weather is out and people are out more. So try to be more vigilant and checking all the schools and move these people along. Cutting classes after lunch is still an issue at BHS. Going to McDonald's, it's been an ongoing thing. We're reaching out to parents, trying to encourage these their children to not participate in this type of activity. The education is very important, and they should be in school. However, the sort of conduct that happens once they're off the property, we're working on taking appropriate police action to deal with this problem. The junior prom this Friday, everyone, is at the Clarendon Hotel in Taunton, and weapon detectors and systems will be deployed. Should be a great night. I will not be attending. I was told I was too old to go. But yeah, we'll have that in place, and it should be a good event. If you got any questions,
Questions
take
for
them.
Officer Mosley at this time? Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Gomes, any questions for the officer at this time?
Mr. Sullivan, no, all set.
Mr. Gomes?
No question, thank you.
Thank you, Officer Mosley.
All right.
Principal, good evening.
Good evening. And as you know, we were on April break last week, so it was a relatively quiet week at Brockton High School. And thank you, Officer Mosley, for that report. One of the things we are doing, just to give an update for the Yonder bags. Yonder bags they've actually arrived, and we are still going through the training process with the Yonder representatives. We'll be getting out letters. That Yonder has been just a great partner in formulating all the communication that is going out. They are scheduled to speak to our faculty on Thursday regarding the entire process and really give some updates on becoming a phone-free community. And so we look forward to Thursday, and it'll be virtual. And so again, all our faculty members will be available for that. But outside of that, again, this is coming back, first 2 days coming back. I know the warm weather, one of the things we have been trying to do is enforcing the dress code for the district. First couple of days, not too bad, but as the weather gets a little bit warmer and the such. But again, I want to thank the faculty and staff for the work that they've done. Oh, you are reading my mind, Dennis. Thank you very much. But we hope that for the most part, the students were very compliant for it, again, without any big fanfare and as such, because we want this to be a non-disruptive act where it is not punitive, it is something that we can always come to an agreement of what we need to do. But outside of that, we'll see what the upcoming weeks have in store for us. But again, every day and every week, just making small steps of progress at Brockton High School. Any questions?
Thank you, Principal. Ms. Oliver, please.
Quick question. Have we hired a football coach yet?
To be determined. Yeah, we're still working with human resources and the such. So, hopefully within the coming weeks, we'll be able to make that announcement.
Okay. Just with the class cutting, I really appreciate that you guys are reaching out to the parents and make sure they're taking accountability. I know very soon up the street, I think that Starbucks that's opening, so there's going to be more kids trying to, cut classes. Definitely, if we can continue working on it and definitely get more parents involved, because that area is very busy and people speed to those lights all the time. And with construction happening out there, we just want to make sure that kids are in school and safe at all times. But definitely, parents out there, seriously, just help us out also, because we are, everybody here, the educators, and especially you and the officers doing their job. But we need also parents' engagement so we can really get down to the bottom of it. Thank you.
With our, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but also working with the business community. And I know their bottom line is making money, but again, if they can help us out where if they know we operate between the hours of 7:15 and 2 o'clock, they really shouldn't be serving someone between those hours. And I know that hurts their bottom line, but it's a community benefit. So again, I think working with some of the businesses the local businesses are there. I know the McDonald's has been great. The McDonald's they're really working with us. But again, if we can have just that entire community, and I think a meeting would be apropos.
Yeah, that'd be great. Definitely, probably get Ward 3 counselor involved, that we can have a meeting with the owners around here, that we can basically get them involved to stop serving our kids during that time, just to keep them in school and getting the educations that are out there and just starting trouble.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any additional questions for the principal at this time from the members here? Vice Chair, please.
More of a comment. I know down in Fall River, they had a big issue with a couple of the eateries there. So obviously, we know the time frame from here where that small number of students like to go to these eateries, and I think on the city side, school side, there needs to be, to echo what Mrs. Oliver said, is to have a partnership of, listen, we have a big problem here, like from this time to this time, can you, make it drive-through only type of hours because of what we're dealing with, but also, we do have, some people that, older folks that take lunch around that time that they want to go and sit down inside and have that lunch, but, I think we need to bring those businesses so they know that, they're impacting our education that it's across the street from them. And some of those employees there are our students. So, and they get work permits from the school district, so we don't want to have to interfere with that. Thank you.
I'll set up a meeting. The city planner, Rob May, Chris Cooney, who's the CEO of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce, we'll set up a meeting with the Vice Chair, Dr. Cobbs, Principal McCaskill. We'll have a sit down with those. We should do probably an accounting of what restaurants we'd like to have them come to the meeting. But I'll reach out to Rob tomorrow to set that up.
Thank you very much.
Phil Griffin, of course you two on it, we'll definitely do that. But let's figure out where we are and who we want to invite to the meeting, and then we'll just be very blunt. Any other questions? Mr. Gomes, Mr. Sullivan, any questions for Principal McCaskill at this time?
Sullivan, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gomes?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomes. Thank you, Principal.
Thank you very much.
We will go on now to Agenda 8, which is announcements. Any members of the body have any announcements at this time? Dr. Cobbs, any announcements at this time?
I do not, Mayor. Thank you.
Actually, I do.
Mr. Gomes, please.
I just would like to share with the committee, I had the opportunity and the pleasure of touring Arnone Elementary today, earlier this morning. I just wanted to give them a shout out. Principal Carolyn and Assistant Principal Nicole were awesome. They, accompanied me and answered a bunch of questions that I had. We also got to sit down and have a very informative conversation, so appreciate that. And, if you guys get a chance, go out there and visit the schools. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gomes. Any other members have any comments at this time? Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to inform the committee, I know a lot of us, being members of MASC, we all get the emails and events and seminars that they're hosting. I just want to let the committee know, I'll send it in our group chat, that on May 4th, Saturday, MASC will be hosting a charting the course, which will be close by at Hanover High School. I've taken several in this short period of time, and I extend invitation for those members that are available to take charting the course. I know it's only recommended once per your tenure here, but I take it every opportunity because every charting the course is different. You learn a lot of things, and in order to be an effective school committee member, there's not enough training possible. It's just as an educators, they're always educating themselves. So as committee members, I just want to extend that invitation for those. I will be in attendance if anybody's available to sign up and take that, because there's a lot of things that change. Also, I had the opportunity to tour a few buildings with the mayor and council president, and I ended my tour at the Huntington School. It's night and day from where we are right now, and those members that, if you have time to go in there, it's a total transformation from the doors, the lighting. It's a lot brighter. Everything is being done in-house, and it's amazing that some people are saying that craftsmen that we have, that they're the ones that are doing this work, and this is the reason why we employ them, because we were looking at a huge 30-40 million to renovate that school, and with Dr. Cobb's leadership with his department, we're able to save us millions in doing the in-house work that's in there. So it was night and day. And
Thank you, Vice Chair. I want to give a shout out to the craftsmen, the custodians, the masons, the locksmith doing the work at the Huntington building, because it does save us a lot of money. You're right. We were looking at a year or two ago, like a $40 million proposal, for the Huntington building. We're down to $400,000. So we're doing the work in-house and ordering supplies. And it'll be online for September 4th.
Yep, thank you. Huge shout out to them.
Shout out to the craftsmen and to facility staff. Thank you.
Yeah, so when we toured it, it was just just the doors were just like wow. But now seeing that, and also at the Goddard School as well, amazing work that our in-house crew is doing. So we do have a lot of assets, in-house that saves the district and our taxpayers millions of dollars, because if we did take a vote and requested $40 million from the city council to upgrade the Huntington School, I don't think it went well. But the school's open to the public too. It's, reach out to the superintendent's office if any members of the community want to see the work that's going in. It's your tax dollars. You're able to go in there and see the work that's being done. Thank you.
So if anybody wants to walk through, please let us know first, because it is a construction site. So obviously we don't want anybody hurt.
I do just want to give an announcement. So I do have a meeting with Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll tomorrow, also Secretary Gorkowitz from A&F. It's Teams, it's online, it's like a Zoom. It's a follow-up from 2 weeks ago. EOE, Secretary Tutwiler will not be on there, DESI will not be on there, it will just be DOR, it will be the LG, and again, Secretary Gorkowitz and his team. I have invited the Vice Chair to join me, Council President Rodriguez to join me, and also Dr. Cobbs to join me. We will continue to collaborate together. That's what the state is looking for, whatever the assistance that we will get from the state, and we are going to need assistance. I make no bones about that. We need assistance. But again, I will report back the findings, and again, we won't make any determinations tomorrow, but the conversation and collaboration with the state will continue. The state delegation, of course, we have 3 reps and 1 senator will be working with us as well. But again, I want to thank the Vice Chair and Dr. Cobbs and President Rodriguez for always jumping on. We're on a Zoom today as well. Every time I ask the Vice Chair to join me, he drops everything. So Tony, thank you very much. But we will report back whatever the findings are in the near future. Any other announcements at this time? I will go to the last agenda item, which is 9, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Adjourn.
I think that was a tie. No, I'm going to give it to Mrs. Sullivan, followed by Ms. Oliver. I have to do the roll. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. I want to thank Dr. Cobbs. I want to thank Melinda. I want to thank BCA for always filming this. Have a good night. Drive careful. Thank you.